It is Cards Camp Central, powered by Cox. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome to Cards Camp 2020 in State Farm Stadium. I'm Paul Calvisi. I'd call myself Paulie Preseason, but there are no more preseason games this year. Kyle Odegaard alongside. And we're going to remind gently, Kyle, that studies show, Kyle, Tuesdays are the most productive day of the week. So let's hope you're up to it here on this edition of Cards Camp Central.
I didn't know that. I guess I'll bring the heat.
That's good. Okay. All right, look, our lineup, you see it on the screen there. We are loaded like an offensive lineman's dinner plate, okay? Let's run through this, Kyle, here. I hope you're up to it because, you know, Coach Kingsbury is calling this showcase week. You better make plays if you want to make the team. You better make plays now because next week is going to be a mock game week. So,
are we having cuts? Am I gone if it's a bad show?
Could be. Anybody could be cut at any time on Cards Camp Central, including yours truly. Our play sheet here, Kyler Murray mic'd up. We're going to go all access, so we got that coming. We have your top three, Kyle. Please explain.
Under the radar trio.
Okay.
Stick around to hear that.
Okay. Read and react, and I'm not going to play nice here either. I mean, it's the point in camp where we're going to go full pads, full contact, read and react with Kyle on the big headlines in camp. We got that. We're going to hear from Deandre Hopkins, first person we call it before the snap, and honestly, I'm not sure I feel like I know Deandre Hopkins just because of the nature of this camp. So I'm looking forward to that, all access with D-Hop in his own words. And then plenty of highlights throughout this edition of Cards Camp Central. You know our saying there, Kyle, more football, more better. And we're still working on that motto a little bit. Here's the headline. Here we go, news of the day. Baker, contract maker, 4 years, $59 million, a reported $33 million guaranteed. Buda Baker is the NFL's highest paid safety based on the contract extension.
He's been impressive. I mean, it's the right age. He's produced. He's been durable. There's a lot of reasons why he just became a very rich man today.
You know, you go back to when he was at UW.
Going in right here. What's good? I'm mic'd up,
Raised
Papito.
4 kids by herself. Think of how gratifying this today is for Buda Baker in that regard.
Absolutely, and she's had a lot of health problems in her life, and it's been a tough road for that entire family. So for Buda Baker to be able to take care of not only himself but his mom, really his entire family, that's a huge thing. And he's a really good player, a good person. So it's cool to see him rewarded for what he's done on the field.
I mean, he was a second-round pick. Steve Keim traded up to get him. Yet he spent his rookie year on special teams and decided to make the Pro Bowl. A lot of guys wouldn't have stood for that as a second-round pick, and yet Buda Baker has always been about the team, and he's rewarded handsomely, put it that way. More on Buda with head coach Kliff Kingsbury coming up. Did I see recently that you tweeted that your own name was auto-corrected on your own phone?
Yeah. My name's Kyle, and it turned it to Kyler. So I think I'm writing about Kyler Murray too much or not writing about myself too much, but I was trying to fill in a form with my name, and it showed up Kyler instead of Kyle.
Or we're just, you know, it's Kyler's world and we're all just living in it, one or the other. But you know what? I mean, I'm not sure what else we can say about Kyler, so let's let him say it, you know, himself. Let's hear from Kyler himself in action, mic'd up.
Going in right here. What's good? I'm mic'd up, Papito. I'm mic'd up, Papito. Call it what you want.
Let's get it going. Let's get it going. Get loose today.
Call it what you want.
Friday, got tomorrow off.
Hello? Y'all get these thighs. True, I look like an athlete, huh? I just look like an athlete, bro. Like Katie. Katie's got little calves. Hey, Hop.
Your boy looking swaggy.
Boy got on some J's. Hey, Katie, why he got on these denim shorts?
I cut them off.
He cut them, bro. Jump his ass. Get out there. You're longer than him.
I am, but if I jump him, he quick to go back inside.
Hell no. You gotta use your angles, bro. You gotta use your angles. Ain't no reason why he should never beat you. He should never beat you.
He's completely comfortable both in being himself and in the playbook. We're going to get the chess aspect of Kyler and another manner in which he's been dominating in this camp. We'll get to that a little bit. And everyone knows about Kyler Murray. We know he's the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's been top 10 in most MVP projections. But what about guys under the radar? Kyle has a few names. You're going to name some names. Let's go. Guys under the radar that folks may not be aware of are making an impression at camp.
Yeah, we all know DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, Patrick Peterson, the big dogs, but there are three that stand out to me. The first one is Dan Arnold, a guy who came to the team in December of last year, and there weren't high expectations for him being a waiver claim, but from day one he started really making an impression on Kliff Kingsbury, and really in the season finale is when he put it all together against the Rams. 4 catches, 76 yards, and a touchdown, and for a guy who had just been cut a month prior, a really impressive game. And I think in camp he's really shown that as well. He's a guy who isn't going to get a ton of targets because you have Hopkins, Larry Fitzgerald, and Christian Kirk, but if you need a tight end to produce, Dan Arnold looks like that guy.
Yeah, players know players, and from the get-go, guys were talking about Dan Arnold in practice and how he was mossing people and some of the other spectacular catches he's been making. Very intriguing because even when you run him out there, you're thinking, okay, maybe it's 11 personnel. Maybe it's more like 10 personnel. They flex him out, and he's more like a receiver in a 4 wide receiver set. All right, who else?
My next guy, Byron Murphy, second-round pick. Last season, really thrown into the fire. He had to start every game, and he played on the outside a lot because of Robert Alford's injury. I think he's more of a slot cornerback. His skill set seems like he's better inside. He's a ball hawk. If that ball is tipped around him, he's probably going to come down with it. I think it's better for him to be in that traffic, and I hate to use the name Tyrann Mathieu because he's such a distinguished player in the NFL, but Byron Murphy has those type of skills where he can get interceptions, and the big part for him is the mental part of the game. He was swimming a little bit last year, not completely understanding his assignments, but I think it'll click in year 2 for Byron Murphy. He has the talent. If he can come along mentally, I think he could have a big year. Wouldn't shock me if he led the team in interceptions.
I mean, think about it. A year ago as a rookie, he went from the number 3 corner to all of a sudden in week 6, he's up against Julio Jones one-on-one. So he was indoctrinated from the get-go, minus Patrick Peterson and Robert Alford. And I agree with you. If they can keep him inside, I think there's a reason Steve Keim went out and signed 3 outside corners. Why create 2 weaknesses? Why move him to the outside when his strength is the inside? An offense will find the weakness in the defense. Keep him inside, see if a Dre Kirkpatrick or whomever can address that outside corner spot. And there's no doubt Byron Murphy has looked excellent in this camp. He has flashed a number of times and made a number of plays. All right, who else?
All right, last of my 3, running back Chase Edmonds, a guy who we saw in flashes last year. I think a lot of people remember the Giants game. David Johnson got hurt, and Chase Edmonds was tremendous in that game. He's a guy who averaged more than 5 yards per carry in limited time. And you have Kenyon Drake, who is dealing with an injury right now but should be fine for the season, and he's going to get the majority of the carries. But Chase Edmonds, if he continues to play well in camp, I think he's going to force his way onto the field. He's been super impressive. Kliff Kingsbury raves about him every time he's asked about Chase Edmonds, and there's room to have a 1-2 punch in the backfield if that reserve running back proves to get on the field, and Chase Edmonds looks like a guy who is going to be an impact on offense.
Yeah, that Giants game where he broke out, and it was a homecoming game of him for sorts, having gone to Fordham. Each one of his touchdown runs, all 3 of them were 20-plus yards. He ran it between the tackles. Tough runner. The guys respect him. There was a moment, by the way, here's a little sideline postcard for you just for Cards Camp Central, where there was a TV timeout, and he came over to the sideline. He wasn't feeling so good. And let's just say he got sick in the garbage can and then ran straight back out there and ran the next snap.
When you have your opportunity, you're not giving it up for anything.
That's right. So, all right, how about my 3 players real quick? And these guys are there's under the radar and there's off the radar. And it's really tough this year to make the team as an undrafted rookie free agent. But number 14, JoJo Ward, I think is a receiver out of Hawaii. He has definitely flashed. Evan Weaver, the 6th-round pick out of Cal. He's been physical in a lot of these drills. I think he's done real well. And here's an offensive lineman. An offensive lineman's take. A couple of guys have told me about D lineman Trevon Coley, 4th-year guy out of Florida Atlantic. And he's a guy, apparently, who was impressed. Now, Cardinals are more stacked than ever when it comes to the D-line spot. All those guys have got a tough road to hoe. Evan Weaver will probably find a spot on special teams, but, there you go. All right, I tell you what, right off the practice field today, we had a chance to catch up with Kliff Kingsbury. He's always on the go. I mean, he runs his own no huddle in terms of his schedule every day, but we got caught up with the head coach after practice. All right, it's Cards Camp Central, powered by Cox. Coach Kingsbury joins us. All right, so Coach, with Buda Baker, are we now spelling safety, replacing the S with a $ as the highest paid safety in the NFL? Your reaction?
Just excited for him. I mean, he's what you want, players in your organization to be about, from work ethic, intensity, the way he handles himself, the way he carries himself off the field. Just a stud human overall and a tremendous player. And we couldn't be happier for him and his family.
15 years I've been down on the sideline as a reporter. I've come to learn that if there's someone who comes out of nowhere to make a tackle, slicing through traffic, it's usually Buda Baker. Would you agree with that?
There's no doubt. And he is coming with reckless abandon when he gets there too. I mean, he's one of those guys that has that unique ability to never stop moving his feet through contact. He's fearless and he plays that way. And he's a great leader. Our defense, our entire team feeds off his energy and the way he approaches the game.
The fact this will be the first time he's had the same defense 2 years in a row, what do you think that'll do to his game this year?
I've seen it already. I mean, just his comfort level within the scheme, familiarity with the calls, knowing where to be. He's able to put some nuances into it that maybe, last year as he was learning, he wasn't able to. And he's definitely more comfortable out there. He's playing with a lot of savvy, and I can't wait to watch him, week one.
So when guys see 4 years, $59 million, is he going to have to keep his head on a swivel and check his room tab? I mean, can you get room service in the team hotel? Is he going to be on the hook for something here?
He should be. I think Steve may charge him for a few bottles of wine here pretty soon.
What did you think of practice today? I know David Rye, the receivers coach, said he thought Andy Isabella had his most productive practice to date. What did you think overall?
Yeah, Andy is a guy who, same deal, being in a system for second year in a row with his speed. We played him outside more last year, really trying to move him around a little bit this year, and he's adapted well. He's picking it up, a lot more confidence. He understands what we're trying to accomplish, and he's really becoming a complete receiver. So it's been very encouraging so far in camp.
You called this showcase week. Is that because if guys want to make the team, they better start making plays now?
There's no doubt. I mean, it's a unique training camp, and the guys know that. And it's limited time on task, and it's limited time to impress the evaluators. And they understand this week is a big part of that. When you're going good on good and you're getting your opportunity and you're getting your reps, and getting into next week, we'll be game planning for the 49ers. And so this is a big week for guys to take that step.
You think with no preseason games that you might actually be more regular season ready, in that you didn't have to worry about getting ready for preseason games, vanilla offenses, et cetera? I mean, do you actually think you might be a little more prepped for the regular season this way?
I believe there's some consistency to your approach doing it this way. I mean, the installs kind of flow. You're not taking breaks to travel or, like you said, install some vanilla plays for a preseason game and then taking a day off after the game. So there's been some consistency as far as the installs go that I think will help lead us into mock game week and hopefully allow us to play at a high level week one.
Not to get too deep here, but if you were to hit zoom out, Kliff Kingsbury 2020, if he was to give advice to what he knows now to Kliff Kingsbury 2019, what have you learned over the last year? What would you tell that rookie head coach?
To work your offense in preseason and then be consistent in your approach. I think it's a very long season. When you're talking about those 4 preseason games as well, and you just got to be consistent in your approach. The guys feel that. If you're alternating who you are day in, day out, the players are going to feel that. So be you and bring your best every day.
Vance Joseph had some complimentary words for your offense, and among other things, he said, Kliff makes you defend the entire field. Kliff and Kyler. That's by design, isn't it?
It is. When you have a dynamic playmaker like Kyler and some of the guys we have, skill position players we have, we want to try and create space for those guys and let them be the great athletes that they are. And so we're constantly trying to evolve and do different things to get those guys the football in space and allow them to make plays. And it's been a unique, 18 months or whatever, trying to figure kind of this league out, the defensive tendencies, and we're still working through it. But returning our core unit offensively, and now they understand kind of what we can do. I think, the future looks bright.
Vance Joseph also called your run game sophisticated. I'm not sure everybody still realizes in Week 16 you went to Seattle and ran it 40 times for 253 yards. What does he mean by that, your style of run game? Define that.
I think more than anything, when you have a quarterback who has the ability to pull it, or make a read on every run play, it adds a dimension. And Coach Kugler, Coach Natkin, Coach Hyde, and Coach Sachs, they create that run game each week and do a tremendous job of doing different things that allow us to kind of have that option built in. And that's unique to the league. Only a few teams are able to do that currently in the league, and we happen to be one of them.
Jordan Hicks was talking about Isaiah Simmons, the first-round pick yesterday, and he complimented him for the retention of the playbook. And then he just paused. He shook his head. He said, yeah, and he's got some of the most ridiculous athleticism I've ever seen. Have you had a wow moment with your first-round rookie yet where you looked out there and just sort of wow?
Yeah, I think, every day you see something. His ability to close in space is crazy. You see a 6'5" guy out there who you don't think can get there, and all of a sudden he's there before you know it. He can cover ground with the best of them. And I've really appreciated his toughness. We didn't know kind of putting him in the mix at different positions, kind of how it'd shake out, but he's not afraid to stick his nose in there and has been game to everything that we've asked him to do. Speaking
of toughness and new guys on defense, I can't take my eyes off Jordan Phillips and Lecky Fotu. How about just the physicality with those guys? They're going to give offensive linemen some serious headaches this year, aren't they?
They definitely eat up some space inside there. Both big, athletic, physical guys. We think the high end is very, very high, and I've liked what I've seen so far. They've jumped right into it and have worked really hard for us.
Something we've seen, I never predicted this, chess. When you walk around, it seems to be all the rage in this camp, doesn't it?
Yeah, somehow it got rolling, and I've seen that chessboard pretty much on a daily basis. I don't even know how to play chess, so I just kind of walk by and make some sort of mocking comment, but they get into it.
The fact, in this day and age of video games, who would ever thought, right? Old school and guys, and a lot of this has to do with Kyler and his affinity for chess, I presume.
Yeah, he likes to play, and I think he's kind of better than everybody is what I'm hearing, so he likes to win, and I think he knows he can beat up on those guys.
So what happened last time this happened was about 5 years ago, and it was a game of golf. And Larry was terrible. And then 5 years later, after working and being obsessed with it, he won Pebble Beach Pro-Am. So, he just needs another challenge, some of these guys.
Yeah, no doubt. Knowing Fitz, he'll be one of the grand masters here pretty soon.
Coach, thanks for the time.
Thank y'all.
All right, now, it's not Throwback Thursday, so I'm not exactly sure what we have here. Who exactly is this? Because I don't recognize this as someone on the Cardinals roster right now.
It might be me.
Okay. We've been bum rushed. We've been blitzed, folks. That was Kyle Odegaard way back in the day. Probably like 10 years ago. You're so young. And that trophy was for what exactly?
That was one of my chess championships. I can't believe you guys dug up that old photo. Maybe I sent it in order to toot my own horn because I'm a good chess player. Yeah. But, that worked out pretty well.
The one you twisted our producer's arm and sent off your phone. And be sure. So I've also heard or tweet that you are talking trash with Kyler because Kyler is known as a dominant chess champion in this camp.
Yeah, you put me on the field against these guys, and I'll look really, really bad for a long time. But you put me on the chessboard, I think I have a chance. And, Kyler does look good. He seems like he's beaten the other guys pretty much every time. But I have confidence in my chess playing skills. I'm a former kindergarten state chess champion. In
bowling, if you have your own ball and your own bowling shoes, you're the guy. Did you have your own chess pieces, by the way? Did you have your own? Of course.
I had the bag. You carried it around to your tournaments.
All right,
took it to San Jose for the national tournament one time.
I'm sure you
How much time do we have?
In the Silicon Valley, you didn't fare well. I can tell you that right now. They'll eat you alive in the Silicon Valley when it comes to chess. Let's see how you fare in read and react, Kyle Odegaard. You ready? I read, you react. When it comes to the cornerback position, Vance Joseph said recently, time will tell how it unfolds with a third, fourth, and fifth corner spot. It's up for grabs. React.
That's the big question, and signing Dre Kirkpatrick, I think, is a big deal. Like you mentioned earlier, if you can get Byron Murphy back into the slot where he seems the most comfortable, I think that's the optimal way you play defense, but it's not a given yet that Kirkpatrick is going to be your starting cornerback opposite Patrick Peterson. I think that's the goal, but there's a lot of other guys in the mix.
what you love about Kirkpatrick, I mean, he's got 8 years experience. He's a 6'2 corner, former first-round pick. You're right. He'll be given every shot. All right, Reed. Jordan Phillips believes he's among the elite D tackles in the game. Quote, me personally, I feel like I'm already there. I can play all the downs. I'm really good in the run. I'm good against the pass. I can run down screens, says Jordan Phillips. I have a great motor. So to say I'm not up there, well, that's behind me already. React.
Not lacking in self-confidence, clearly. He did it last year. He was a very good defensive tackle in 2019. The issue is before that, he was more inconsistent. We've seen him in camp. I mean, he's a big guy who is agile, and that's pretty rare to be 6'6", 340 pounds and be able to move. So he has the physical ability. I think he needs to stack a season or two with last year's in order to be compared to some of these elite defensive tackles, but the talent's there.
I mean, a year ago, Jordan Phillips was second among D tackles in the NFL in sacks to Aaron Donald. Think about that. If he can replicate that, look out, that front seven for the Cardinals D. All right, Reed, Kliff Kingsbury this week, very complimentary of O-line coach Sean Kugler when it comes to the team's run game in particular. Your reaction to this? The Cardinals don't get enough credit for their ability to run the football.
Absolutely, and I didn't think they were going to run it like this when Kliff Kingsbury came to town, and you heard all about the air raid, and all of a sudden by the end of the year, it's the run raid, and they're averaging 5 yards a carry, and they end the season with the franchise record, basically the second best running attack in the NFL behind only the Ravens. Definitely under the radar group in the running game, and it's a lot of the same pieces this year, so it might be hard to get 5 yards a carry, but I expect them to have success.
A franchise record 5+ yards per carry a year ago for the Cardinals run game. Vance Joseph, as we talked about, Kliff Kingsbury called it sophisticated. We know what they did at Seattle. So, and now how about their ability to run the ball if Deandre Hopkins is keeping a defense honest and he's your outside X receiver, just further spreading the field. And with D-Hop in mind, you know, it's been great to see him this week on the field coming off the tight hamstring. But let's get to know him in this edition of Before the Snap.
The most underrated cereal, Cheerios. Quarterback. My favorite player growing up was Michael Vick, LeBron, Black Panther, Powerade, margarita, no cheese, extra crispy. Get Out, a truck that I leased in 2013 and I'm still in. They got me. I was only 20.
Talk about confidence. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, he knows he's among the best in the game. The unknown is what exactly he does for this Cardinals offense. What do you think? What's your best guess?
I think he's going to do a ton, not only individually. He's going to put up numbers. He's a 1,000-yard receiver every year, and I expect nothing less. But Kyler Murray has talked about him playing on the X receiver side, and sometimes they'll put multiple receivers on the other side. And when you need to help with DeAndre Hopkins putting a safety there, that's going to give more space on the field for a Christian Kirk, for a Larry Fitzgerald. So I think Hopkins' ability to draw coverage is going to help everybody else, and like you said, the running game too.
You know, if you're going against the Cardinals defense, you got to figure out how to stop Chandler Jones. If you're scheming against the Cardinals offense, you figure Kyler Murray and stopping him. But DeAndre Hopkins, if you're a D coordinator, I mean, that's a whole new consideration they didn't have to worry about a year ago.
Yeah, they did not have that number one receiver, and that's a big deal. And I think the Cardinals can build on the passing game, which was only mediocre a season ago. And if they have the running game going like it did last year, then all of a sudden you're talking about an offense taking that jump from average to definitely above average.
All right, so if Tuesday is the most productive day of the week, I think you checked every box, although you got a minus for the photo of yourself as a chess champion in kindergarten. Was it kindergarten, by the way? Was it kindergarten?
Yeah, and I thought that was the best part of the show, personally.
The trophy was bigger than you are. I mean, what kind of trophies are given out in chess, you know?
I'm a big-time winner.
Yeah, okay, that's entirely enough. Thanks to Kyle. Let's go to some highlights from Sunday. That's right, time to see and hear some football. All right, back with Cards Camp Central, powered by Cox. And the only time I get to associate with Darren Urban, since he's the elite tier 2 status, would be right here via Zoom. So, Darren, we saw some of the highlights there. We saw some of the new corners. Give us the state of that cornerback position opposite Patrick Peterson right now, as we've seen a lot of new names and faces.
Well, they've obviously signed 3 veterans in the last week, Ken Crawley and B.W. Webb, and then, of course, Dre Kirkpatrick. And all those guys have had some starting experience in this league. Kirkpatrick seems to be the guy that would be the most obvious person if you decided to straight out replace Robert Alford with somebody like that and keep Byron Murphy in the slot. But we'll see where it goes. It's early in the process. He's got to show that he can play on this level still. And, last year it was messed up because of a knee injury, and we'll see kind of where he is physically, but he definitely looks the part.
Patrick Peterson as well as any media member. Would you agree with this overwhelming assessment that he has the eye of the tiger, if you will, in this camp?
I kind of felt that way dating all the way back to the offseason, Paul, when he did that super long, almost hour-long interview with us and talking about certain things. Patrick's always been a very prideful person. He cares very much about how he's viewed in terms of the hierarchy of NFL cornerbacks. And I think it bothers him tremendously that people think he might have lost a step. So I think he's got a lot of motivation, and we haven't even talked about the fact that he's going into the last year of his contract. So yes, I do think he's uber motivated for this season.
Yeah, he's in a contract year. Of course, Buda Baker just got his contract, the highest paid safety in the league based on the extension. Just your reaction to Buda at 24 years of age, and then this year being the first year he's in the same defense 2 years in a row.
Well, the latter is a huge deal. I mean, we all know continuity makes a difference in this league for all players. It doesn't matter how good you are or how long you've played. And for Buda to actually be in a defense for 2 years in a row, I think means a lot to him. He was talking about that even coming out of last season, right when it ended. So I do think that matters. And I think it matters that you reward these types of players with the contract extensions. These are the guys, Steve Keim said it himself during the press conference, he used Buda Baker as an example to the scouts before the draft process of, this is the kind of guy that we want to have be a Cardinal. And I think the way he carries himself off the field, the way he plays on the field, it all adds into why they gave him such a big contract.
All right, full disclosure, I'm already a big fan of Chris Streveler the leveler out of the CFL, the guy who, after they won the Grey Cup, he had the Grey Cup trophy in one hand, a beer in the other, bare-chested in a fur coat and a cowboy hat. Love the personality. I point that out because this is a real question out of the mailbag, and someone wants to know if you've had a chance to watch much of Streveler and whether he really has a chance to make the team. What do you think?
I have watched him a lot for what have been able to see and even report on. I mean, I think at this point, when Chris Streveler says they see him as a quarterback first, I think that's the first thing I think of, is that's how they're looking at him. And it's no secret, and Jeff Rogers talked about it, the special teams coordinator and assistant head coach, that they are trying to find a role for him on special teams. I think they're going to need to find a way to get him on the 53-man roster other than just being the third string quarterback, especially in this day and age of COVID. But I do think he's got a chance to be that guy. And, whether he develops into a Taysom Hill type of person on offense, we'll see. But I do think they can find multiple roles to at least get him a roster spot if that's what they want to do.
All right, something you've seen that basically no one else has seen firsthand, that's Cardinals players playing chess. For real? I mean, paint us a picture. I mean, is this – in the meal rooms? I mean, you tell us. This is all the rage, apparently.
I hope I'm not telling any tales out of school, but I will say the couple times I've seen it, Chase Edmonds is a dogged competitor in chess, and he likes to trash talk, it seems like, a little bit too. So it is interesting. Kyler obviously is a chess guy. I think Fitz is a chess guy too, maybe not as much as Kyler. Even Kyler said he thinks Fitz might be number 2 on the roster, but there's been a handful of people that have definitely got into it. And in this environment where you're not getting, you can't just go out at night if you have some free time into Westgate and, go shopping or whatever. You're kind of stuck in your rooms here. It's a good way to pass the time, and it's something different than video games.
You know who thinks he's number 2 in chess around here? Our own Kyle Odegaard. So, I mean, the guy actually brought his own picture from kindergarten of his chess championship. So,
That's
in
true.
fact, You know, Darren, in fact, here's what you can do for me. Pass this along on Kyle's behalf, okay? We're just going to close you out, but really, it's because of Kyle, okay? So we'll see you around here at camp. There you go. Urban, everyone. And by the way, our Cards Camp coverage will continue on Friday. There's going to be the red and white practice. Now, fans aren't allowed, but our cameras will be there. In fact, we're going to turn it into a TV special, and you can catch it Saturday night on 12 News. It'll be the red and white practice from 8 to 10 about after playoff hockey on 12 News, and we'll get you all the action, both scrimmage, practice drills. We'll hear from Kliff Kingsbury. We'll feature players, and Kyler Murray, Deandre Hopkins will be a big part of that as well. So once again, that'll be Saturday night. In lieu of any preseason games, it'll be the red and white practice 8 to 10 on 12 News. And by the way, another programming note, Cards Camp Central coming your way on Friday because of the red and white practice at 3 o'clock. Craig Grialou will take you home from there. That'll do it for this edition, everyone. Cards Camp Central. I'm Paul Calvisi, all powered by Cox.